Cooldowns are back up, back in the action.
Man, I keep telling you, man, stop jumping like a fucking Bugs Bunny motherfucker.
I think you're pressing the wrong buttons, dude. It goes like this. Log out. Select Demon Hunter Havoc spec. Enter World. Profit.
Suffering sucker ass. Ooh, what's this? A book? A guide on talents, governance, rotations, legendaries openers, and more?
A few dungeons later.
Welcome back. Did you find the right buttons?
I'll show you the right buttons. Go Seabiscuit! I'm here now. Final reckoning, execution sentence, applause verdict.
Oh, but I thought it was like a 3-button spec. How did you?
Oh yeah. Take these 3 buttons then. And let's not forget about these. And these nuts.
I knew I missed something.
Before we start, we want to make a special shout out to our patrons and to actually talk a little bit about our Patreon platform. I know. Just listen, okay? It is a little bit wonky with YouTube nowadays. Everything's up in arms. And we kind of really enjoy doing what we do. And thankfully to all the Patreon support and all the support that we've gotten so far, we managed to increase our team, increase the quality, make all this happen. A lot of cool gear, a lot of bump in the quality as well. And, you know, we're doing podcasts, we're doing guides, TLFs, goddammit news shows, everything that we can do. We have extra days of stream, and it's all thanks to you guys supporting us a little bit more. It definitely helps out. It's, of course, not required, but it's highly appreciated. And hey, there are a couple of tiers that you can check. There's some goodies in store depending on what your tiers are, like wallpapers. We make really cool personalized wallpapers for you guys. We also have monthly Patreon chats where we just talk one-on-one with you guys, kind of like a Q&A thing. You can give us feedback on what you want, what you think of our content. And we have bloopers, of course. And sometimes we will stream our editing process and anything that goes behind the scenes. If you're interested in seeing that, that all goes up on our Discord. So if you are interested in supporting us a little bit more, being a part of the team, being a part of the process and helping us grow, because we don't plan on going anywhere, but we do want to get better and bigger, consider checking our Patreon page. We would really appreciate it. And let's just get on with a Ret Paladin guide. Your Holy Warrior journey will start with the Executioner sentence as the default pick for raiding. Yes, right from the start, you'll be chopping heads off. Off with his head. Just joking, it won't be that dramatic. You will be given a 3 Holy Power Spender on a 1-minute cooldown that will accumulate 20% of the damage you deal in 8 seconds and will explode like a nuke on your target. Zeal will make you attack your target 6 times and enemies around faster and with extra damage. Wait, no. What do you mean it's not like Diablo 2? Then how is it? Half from each? What, they didn't have money to buy the whole thing? Anyway, back to WoW. Zeal will be your default pick in Mythic Plus and AoE, and you will attack faster and with a little extra holy damage with your next 3 attacks after you use Judgment. On the next row, Blade of Wrath will be your go-to in raids. It will make Art of War stronger with 100% more procs and 25% more damage on your Blades of Justice ability. With this talent, Blade of Justice will climb higher on the priority list when it procs and will have a good synergy with the potency conduit that buffs it as well. Imperium Power, if you remember, and like the Azerite Power that made you a 1-button Divine Storm killing machine in AoE, that power was made a talent now and will be your go-to in Mythic Plus and AoE. So Imperium Power will make your Crusader Strike have a chance to make your next Divine Storm free and deal extra damage. On the CC utility row, like all other Paladin specs, your picks will be no different. Blinding Light still holds the cake in every situation where you can CC mobs, as you will be given an extra AoE interrupt. Fist of Justice is another choice if you need a single target interrupt more often. Your Hammer of Justice will have almost 30 seconds cooldown thanks to this talent. And finally, Repentance will be a good choice in dungeons when you want to keep a specific mob away for 1 minute or pass by it as it won't get you into combat. At level 35, you can choose between Unbreakable Spirit, a 30% cooldown reduction on almost all of your defensive spells, like Divine Shield, Shield of Vengeance, and Lay on Hands. For those high mobility fights or those pesky Demon Hunter tanks that just fly around with all of your mobs, Cavalier will be the talent for you. It will double your horses and you won't be the slowest turtle in town. The last option has too few situations where it can be useful for it to be mentioned, but we can say it's a very good pick in PvP. Next, you'll have Seraphim as the best pick on this row. The stats it provides you with will make you forget that it has a 3 holy power cost and will be best to keep it and pair it with Execution Sentence Sound if you have selected that one as well. Always use those two in conjunction. Conjunction.
God damn it, man!
Divine Purpose can be an alternative if you like the RNG, but will usually fall behind Seraphim. Still, if you like a passive choice with this talent, your holy power spenders will have a chance to make your next one free and hit harder. On your healing row, Healing Hands will be the best choice in all situations. Yes, it can be a damage loss, but at the cost of not wiping if you will have the ability to help and save a teammate with it. Healing Hands will reduce the cooldown on Lay on Hands based on the HP of the target you have healed, and Word of Glory's healing will be almost doubled, based again on the target's missing HP. If you don't want to be bothered with these nonsense, then Selfless Healer can be an alternative for you. With this, your Flash of Light can become instant and heal for more based on how many holy powers you will cast. Be free to pick the one that suits your playstyle the most. On the final row, Final Reckoning will be the final pick in all situations and will finalize your toolkit. Finally. Roll this damn script! Let go! If you are Kyrian, like most of us Ret Paladins, this will synergize very well with all of our cooldowns. And thanks to its passive, you can even hold onto it and not lose too much as it can proc mini Final Reckonings. You can call it Starting Reckonings. If by any means you aren't Kyrian, then Sanctified Wrath will be a good alternative for you. It has about the same single target potential as the other option on this row, but it will outshine it the more targets are starting to appear. This talent is again a combination with an old Azurite power and will increase the duration of Avenging Wrath and will make your holy powers explode and deal extra holy damage around you. To get the best damage you can squeeze out of your paladin, we will recommend to sim it. And what better way to do that than to check out our simming video, link in the description. Of course, do that after you watch this video because we will still recommend some base stats you can follow when getting started if you're not really that much into simming. And as usual, they will start with strength at the top, so higher level pieces will almost every time translate into an upgrade. Haste next as the most important secondary stat, followed by crit with versatility and mastery very close to each other. You can pick every stat you want after haste, you will never go wrong with it, but as we recommended before, if you want to be at your best, sim yourself. For your weapon enchants, Sinful Revelation will be your best pick in single target situations, Lightless Force for heavy AoE situations, and Celestial Guidance for mixed martial arts fights. Well, no, just mixed fights. Just mixed fights. Like in dungeons, you know. On your chest, Eternal Stats will be your default pick, very good for high keys, Eternal Skirmish for most of the single target fights, and use the temporary stamina buff from the heavy Desolate Armor kit for that extra resistance everywhere. Do you want to hold that sword with more power? Then, yes, Eternal Strength enchant on our gloves will be a must, because gloves give you power. Ask Thanos, the jailer, what? For your cloak enchant, Fortified Avoidance will be the most desired one in high keys or heavy AoE damage taking situations, but feel free to use any cloak enchant depending on your needs. For your hasty needs, yes, those are needs too, Quick Jewel Cluster will be the gem for you and pair it with the tentative haste enchant on your rings. The Spectral Flask of Power will be the one flask to rule them all for you. For the strength it will provide, come on, we discussed this already. Potion of Spectral Strength will be the potion to suit all of your needs. Again, strength, needs, you know, you get it by now. As for the temporary buff on your weapon, you can choose between Shaded Sharpening Stone or Shaded Weight Stone, depending on the type of weapon you will use. And depending on your gear level, Shadow Core Oil can sim a little higher in single target, so again, we will recommend simming your character if you want to min-max every little DPS. When you will get hungry, use the Feast of Gluttonous Hedonism as the best food you can find in the world. With a Tenebrous Crown Roast aspect if you're a cheapskate motherfucker. But it's the best alternative in case of no feast, so, you know, it's good. Just get it. It's cheap. The best covenant and the most suited one for your holy warrior will be the Kyrians. Yes, they are perfect for you. Blue angels everywhere. Exactly how you dreamed it will be. Just me? Honorable mentions to our Necro-Retidins for their powerful 2-target cleave potential, and if you end up in Night Fae lands, many classes will desire your season's buff, especially that one overpowered Venthyr Boomkin. But these are niche picks, so back to our angels. They will provide you with the Divine Toll ability, 5-in-1 hammers for everyone on a 1-minute cooldown. That will help you judge everyone around you, just like my mom. The Kyrians will also provide you with a cute steward to bring you the Phial of Serenity, a 3-in-1 improved health potion this time that can cure all your diseases, curses, poisons, and most important one, bleeds.
Even the one time per month. Oh!
Pelagos will be your best buddy in all types of content. The 3-potency conduit path will bring you some very powerful traits. Combat meditation will be the first powerful trait. It will provide you with a mastery buff when you use your Divine Toll ability that can be extended if you collect the orbs from the ground that you will start to shatter. Let Go of the Past will be a defensive trait, that's what my dad said, that provides you with magic damage reduction as long as you don't cast the same spell twice in a row. Better Together will be the next notable trait that my mom said, and will provide you and an ally with a little mastery when you walk by them for 1 minute. Newfound Resolve will close Pelagos' toolkit and my therapist sessions, and will provide you with a small stamina and strength buff when you look at your doubt manifestation that will be summoned around you. Forge Light Prime Mechanicos can be an alternative to Pelagos in some situations. With the 2-potency conduits path, you will have access to some powerful traits like Brawn's Call to Action, one of the best ones that will summon Brawn after a number of attacks and abilities used. Hammer of Genesis will continue Mechanicos' useful traits and will provide you with a haste buff for every new enemy you will damage. The Soul Glow Spectrometer trait will provide you with a little extra damage on one target at a time for 15 seconds. Try to use it on priority targets. And finally, the Effusive Anima Accelerator trait will add a little more damage to your Divine Toll ability that can reduce its cooldown by a maximum of 20 seconds, depending on how many targets were hit by it. If you followed our recommended paths from before, then you will need some potency conduits. The Covenant-specific one, Ringing Clarity, will be the first one to take it. You will give you a high chance to judge your primary target 3 more times when casting Divine Toll, aka 3 more judgments on your target. Next, and the universal best, will be Virtuous Command and will provide you with a 5 seconds buff of extra holy damage on your Templar's Verdict, Blade of Justice, Crusader Strike, and melee attacks. For your 3rd potency conduit, you will have a choice between Templar's Vindication, a pure single target conduit that will give your Templar's Verdict a high chance to strike again, and Expurgation. No, not the Azurite trait, the conduit that does the same thing so you cannot run away from your past. That's what my therapist said. This trait can out DPS in single target if you are using a high amount of crit, and it will be the best pick in AoE and Mythic Plus situations. For your endurance conduits, Condensed Anima Sphere will provide you with a decent heal on a 10-second cooldown. The Divine Call conduit can be helpful if you need Divine Shield more often, but only if you take damage. And finally, the Golden Path will be your last endurance conduit of choice and will heal you when you are standing in your consecration. Your finesse conduits will be the same as all the other paladin specs. Light's Barding is a must and will oil up those wheels on your wheelchair class to make your horses last a little longer. Echoing Blessings will be your second choice and will cause your Blessings of Protection and of Sacrifice to reduce the target's damage taken, and Blessing of Freedom to increase the target's movement speed for their entire duration and a little after they end. Like your Fire Mage buddies, you will usually prefer a good on-use trinket to line up with all your burst/cooldowns and one passive one. For your on-use trinkets, Unchained Gladiator's Badge of Ferocity will take the cake as the best one you can find. It has a 1-minute cooldown and will align perfectly with all of your cooldowns. If you hate PvP, then we got you covered with the Overwhelming Power Crystal from the Other Side dungeon on a 1.5-minute cooldown. So align with your Avenging Wrath that will provide you with a big crit buff. And if you are lucky enough to get the Salvage Fusion Amplifier from the Guardian of the First One's boss, you can use it if you don't have a high eye-level Gladiator's badge. For your passive trinkets, Bold Warrior Souls from Sylvanas will be the best you can find, even on heroic high level, and will provide you with all the haste you need or deserve. Vial of Putrefaction from the well-known Plaguefall will be a good alternative to the Warrior Soul. It will rest in peace, don't worry. R.I.P. Sarfang. And if you don't have access to any of these trinkets, then the Titanic Ocular Gland will provide you the much needed stats depending on your highest secondary stat rating. This last trinket will drop from the second boss in the raid, so it's pretty easy to get. Your best domination set will be the Chaos Bane Unholy set, but fret not, as in 9.2, you'll escape this nonsense and get the proper tier sets you have been asking for. But until then, pair the Unholy set with Core and Beck, the other two damage domination sockets, and you will be at your best in rating. The Maw and Torghast, cause only there will the domination set work, so yeah. Outside of those places, only the sockets will work, so go for the damage ones, Core, Beck, and these nuts. Sorry. And pair them with a Zed, a good shard if you heal yourself or others a lot, which, yes, will reward you with damage. For your fifth socket, you can go for Kier for a little more shields, or any piece of gear with the stats that seem better for you. Ah yes, Legendaries, our favorite orange gear. Divine Resonance will be the best legendary for you in any situation. Build it on your waist and it will make your Divine Toll automatically cast Judgment 3 more times in 15 seconds. This will result in you having more Holy Power spenders buffed up, and the most important thing you can use if you want to fulfill the Blue Angel's dream. Kyrian. The Mad Paragon will be an alternative and will shine if you are using the Sanctified Wrath talent. Build this legendary on your belt, especially if you are a Venthyr, and it will increase the damage of Hammer of Wrath plus the duration of Avenging Wrath by 1 second every time you use Hammer of Wrath. For pure AoE situations, and usually in Mythic Plus, high keys, or if your group lacks AoE damage, like that will never happen, Tempest of the Lightbringer legendary can be a very powerful alternative. Bring it on your leg slot to make your Divine Storm project itself forward for 20 yards and deal 20% of that Divine Storm's initial damage. For single target priority damage, Final Verdict after the buff it got will be very strong in pure single target situations. Build it on your clock slot to transform Templar's Verdict into Final Verdict of 15 yards with extra holy damage spender that has a chance to reset the cooldown of your Hammer of Wrath and use it regardless of the target's HP. The best weapon you can find will be Jaethys, the Prison Blade from Kel'Thuzad in the raid. It is basically Gedeku 2.0 with some stats attached to it, and it has to destroy 5 weapons, so you can have it in its final form with the biggest dot proc. Your opener will start with Blade of Justice on pool, Judgment next, Crusader Strike after, use Seraphim, Crusader Strike or Blade of Justice with an Art of War proc, activate Avenging Wrath, Hammer of Wrath after, cast Final Reckoning, then Execution Sentence, Divine Toll for Holy Power, Templar's Verdict after, then Judgment, Templar's Verdict again, Wake of Ashes, Templar's Verdict finally before Execution Sentence hits the target. Your single target priority will have you use Seraphim first, Avenging Wrath with 3 or more Holy Powers, Final Reckoning with as much Holy Power pooled as possible, cast Execution Sentence after, Templar's Verdict, Divine Toll as long as your target doesn't have the Judgment debuff, Wake of Ashes on cooldown, Hammer of Wrath on cooldown when it can be casted, Blade of Justice, especially with the Art of War proc, Judgment on cooldown, Crusader Strike to not stay on 2 charges forever, Templar's Verdict with 3 or 4 Holy Power, Consecration after, and Crusader Strike as a filler. We know we capped on holy power here and there, but this is a rough representation of the order you need to follow. In a fight mechanics or fights where you need to keep your burst, this might change this order. Even the Mad Paragon Legendary will put Hammer of Wrath higher in the priority list, or you will have to keep Seraphim till Final Reckoning and Divine Toll and Execution Sentence are off cooldown. Pair them all up for Juicy Burst. For your multi-target opener, start with Consecration, then Wake of Ashes, Judgment after, then Crusader Strike, cast Seraphim, Crusader Strike again, or Blade of Justice with the Art of War proc, activate Avenging Wrath, Hammer of Wrath after, cast Final Reckoning, then Divine Storm, Divine Toll afterwards, Divine Storm again, Blade of Justice, and continue with the multi-target priority, which will be something like Seraphim first, and try to keep it for Final Reckoning if talented, Avenging Wrath with 3 or more Holy Power, Final Reckoning with as much Holy Power pool as possible, Consecration on cooldown, Divine Storm with Empyrean proc or if at 5 Holy Power, Divine Toll on cooldown, Wake of Ashes on cooldown, Hammer of Wrath if it can be casted, Blade of Justice next, Judgment on cooldown, Crusader Strike if at 2 charges, Divine Storm to dump Holy Power, Crusader Strike as a filler, and that's about it. For more details, check the Hammer of Wrath Discord, with Bolas and Frenchie being the top theory crafters that helped us understand Ret and fix all of those little intricacies that, you know, goes a long way into mastering a Ret Paladin. In the Hammer of Wrath Discord, you'll find advanced information about the spec as well, and a lot more resources that you can check out, like Skeletor's amazing websites. And of course, just talk with really high-level Ret Paladins to actually teach you a thing or two about how to master, and if you have any other questions, you know. Thank you to our patrons for supporting the content, and hope you guys enjoyed this guide. We have a lot of cool things happening on the channel, thanks in no small part to you and your contribution. Yes, it's a little bit wonky with YouTube nowadays, so please check the link down below. Dear viewer, if you're interested in seeing what all our Patreon platform is about, it will help us grow. Thank you. See you in the next one.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play